I think the first two words that cross your mind is just never again. I think that season was just unfortunate in a variety of different factors with injuries and just with us not playing up to our potential.
Luton, here comes the pressure. Luton is sacked and out of field goal range back at the 40. Thomas Booker.
Sometimes there's nothing better than a kick in the ass to tell you that you need to get better, and I think that last season was that for us. So for us, like throughout the offseason, that wasn't the product that we wanted to put on the field. That wasn't the product that we've been preparing to put on the field. So I think for us it was like, you got to put up or shut up, So this year is the culmination of that, and even with all the adversity of COVID, it's still about putting the product that we need to put out on the field this year instead of what we did last year. So it's just all about improvement and keeping focused on the details. I never would have thought that my spring ball would have gotten cut short like that. I don't think any athlete that is at Stanford that got their seasons cut short would have thought that happened. But for us, it was like, all right, like we were hitting our stride, it got stopped, but the work doesn't stop when we go home, So a lot of the guys were still here, a lot of guys went home, I personally went home, and you kind of figure out how much you really love football when you go back home, when there's not mandatory scheduling that's forcing you to practice, lift, get better on your skills. So for me, it was like back to basics, focus on what I want to do, and get my work in and by any means possible. I think we all knew that there's a lot going on with COVID and uncertainties around what we're going to play, whether we're going to play, when. The big thing was, it doesn't matter. At some point, we're going to be back out in the field, practicing, hitting, all that. So when that time comes, we need to be ready. Once we actually got the go to play, it was, okay, we've been preparing for this. This wasn't a surprise. You kind of have to learn how to deal with uncertainties in times like this. So while it's a tough time, I think it prepares you for a lot of other things in life that aren't going to go your way.
Talk about the process and being able to embrace the process, right? Just continue to build on the process, man, because we got to start ramping this thing up. Everybody's got stuff to build on. Everybody got stuff to work on.
Football is a game of adversity, and I think that normally it's a game of adversity, but especially this year. So I think for us, whatever it takes is understanding that things are not going to be rosy, things are not going to be easy. They are going to be difficult by definition. So we need to understand that fact, and grind no matter what, because we know that at the end of the day, the goal we want is not going to be an easy goal. But I think that when you take such a long break away, it's really hard to realize, like, all right, like football is not something to be taken for granted. I think you can get trapped in that when you're playing it so often. It's like, okay, football is going to be something that's always there for me. But when COVID came around, I think a lot of people realized this with whatever profession they're in, whatever they do, you can't take for granted the ability to gather in space, to practice your sport. So being able to be out here with my guys and practice like this, when I've spent months on end by myself, not being able to even see them and really just having to call them or FaceTime them, it's a blessing, honestly. And we're fortunate to be out here, and I think there's a different appreciation that goes into something that's been taken away from you and being able to get it back. Pretty sure I did that, though.
No, that's what he said. I was just like, oh.
Right, I'm like... I think we understand that as a defensive line, we have to set the pace and set the mood for our entire team and our entire defense. The line of scrimmage is where everything starts, offensive line, defensive line. So if we're playing well, the rest of the team plays well. And I think we've been trying to embrace that responsibility and that role all throughout this camp. And although we definitely have lost some pivotal pieces this past year, I think we have a lot of young guys that are ready to step up and a lot of guys that have experience that are ready to even step into bigger roles. So for us, it's understanding that we have a responsibility to set the tone, regardless of what that is, for our defense. So we've been trying to carry that mantle throughout camp, be the most physical, the most aggressive, and make the most plays. This journey of having the season postponed, wondering whether we were going to play this year or anything, and having it culminate in us actually playing on November 7th is nothing short of amazing, And I think everyone's excited for the opportunity to actually get out there and show what they've been working on for so many months. And the fact that we could have not had this opportunity makes it even more sweet that we're going to be able to show out with our guys.